I want to begin with a micro story that circulated in a neighborhood Facebook group. The kind of narrative fragment that travels fast because it's instantly meaningful. It's about a man named Mr. Lawson, a retired postal worker who lives alone on Maple and 8th for more than about 40 years. Every Tuesday morning, he walks with a slight limp to Walgreens on Jefferson to pick up his heart medication. But one week in October, he learned that his prescription had jumped to over $700 due to a change in coverage. He quietly folded the envelope back into his coat and said,
Okay, I'll just see how long I can go without it.
A woman overheard and later posted, "Does anyone know Mr. Lawson? He couldn't afford his medication today. Can we help?" The post gathered more than 120 comments overnight. People offered money, encouragement, stories of their own fathers, even memories of Mr. Lawson feeding stray cats behind the laundromat. A local cafe printed the post and taped it to a mason jar labeled, "Help Mr. Lawson get his heart meds." By 3 p.m., his entire prescription was paid for. He left a handwritten note that said, "I didn't think people did this kind of thing anymore." These small, emotional charged story fragments, micro-narratives, carry symbolic density. They deliver meaning quickly, effortlessly, and persuasively. This creates the ideal conditions for narrative susceptibility. The tendency to accept messages as true based on coherence and fidelity rather than verification. Walter Fisher explains that humans judge messages through narrative rationality using two tests: coherence, does a story hang together, and fidelity, does the story ring true with our values and lived experience. Mr. Lawson's story satisfied both, which is why it resonated before anyone questions its truth. Digital platforms are filled with micronarratives. A meme, a screenshot, 7 seconds TikTok, a single emotional minute. People don't analyze these stories, they feel them. Algorithms accelerate the emotional impact by elevating content that triggers engagement. Identity affirms or moral resonance. A story like Mr. Lawson spreads because it performs emotionally, not because it's verified. This creates a narrative atmosphere where repeated fragments shape meaning. Communication scholarship has not yet fully explained how micronarratives trigger coherence and fidelity, how algorithmic circulation intensifies narrative susceptibility, why symbolic density gives micro stories persuasive force. This is the gap my study fills. My research question is, how does narrative susceptibility operate within algorithmic media environments? And what role does micro-narratives play in this process? The method is content analysis, symbolic density, emotional cues, identity markers, narrative analysis, coherence, fidelity, and moral framing. Comparing 50 micronarratives with a long-form persuasive artifacts reveals how meaning compresses and circulates through algorithmic systems. The significance: this research advances strategic communication theory, narrative persuasion scholarship, ethical storytelling, media literacy, and explains how people form meaning from symbolic fragments long before verification. Before I close, let's return to the story of Mr. Lawson. There was no cafe jar, no fundraiser, no $700 prescription, no Mr. Lawson. Every detail was constructed, and yet you pictured him, you imagined the cafe, you completed the story. The moment before you knew it was fiction is narrative susceptibility. Scripture captured this tension in Proverbs 14:15. The simple believe every word, but the prudent give thought to their steps. In digital environments where emotionally coherent stories spread rapidly, we are called to approach narratives with discernment, wisdom, and truthfulness. This is why this research matters. And in closing, I want to thank you and I want to leave you with these last words. We do not simply receive stories, we complete them, even when they never happened at all. Thank you so much.